This one is not one we can take the head cover off just yet. I tried TaylorMade the Burner Mini, I tried the Callaway, the AI Smoke Mini Driver, and this one is somewhat similar to that one, and I think is going to be a real weapon for me this year. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We have our first What's in the Bag of the season. We done one at the tail end of last year where we kind of just talked about some of the things that were really roaming about my head at that time of year in terms of things that I was maybe interested in trying. Some of that has stuck, some of it hasn't, as might be a shock to a lot of you out there, but there's a few new things in the bag that we're trialing as we move towards the season. A lot of it has actually stayed fairly consistent. But the consistency is also in the inconsistency of what I've had at several parts of the bag. Driver, still inconsistent. Putter, don't have a Scooby-Doo what to do with that. I think 4-iron or hybrid, we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. I think that's going to be an interesting one as I look at where my swing kind of has evolved to and kind of where we're going with that. I do think 4-iron is going to become a little bit more of a struggle than almost like 4-iron works well for my bad swing than it does. So we're going to look at a little bit of kind of some of the constants and some of the variables within the bag. So why don't we start? We'll start at the bottom and work our way up today. We're going to start with the wedges. And as we talk through it, we're going to hit a few shots and explain why these are working so well. Okay, guys, so starting with the wedges. The previous What's in the Bag, I talked about having 2 wedges in the bag. The original 60 M grind, and I had just got through in the mail this brand new 60K Star, the sort of tri-sole or tri-grind with the K. I love that Vokey brought this out because it has so much versatility, and it's established itself for me as absolutely the most versatile lob wedge I've ever used. I kind of kept my aim for a little while, and really, to be honest, it was after that it was no contest. The only other one that I'll kind of have maybe as an odd rotation in very soft conditions is the V grind, which lots of you will know is kind of like maybe a slightly higher bounce version of the M. Maybe the sort of the leading or the sort of high spot of the bounce is a little further forward than it would be in the M, which actually is a really good thing for me in the amount of dynamic loft I deliver. So the K Star has been quite literally a star for me in the 60 degree. So I've kept, I'm going to keep that one in there. The 54 has remained the 5410, which is actually bent to 5511. So something that's a gapping thing for me. For every degree of loft, I gain about 2.8 yards in the bag. So some people were asking me, why don't you go 50, 54, 60? For me, that would create a big gap between 54 and 60 and too close of a gap between the 50 and the 54. So I'm about 2.8 yards per degree of loft. And again, I work out all my yardages based on the balance of that. So let's hit a few with this. We'll start with the K Star. And again, talking about this leading edge relief. We've got this sort of pretty wide sort of middle of the sole here, and then we've got the ribbon taken off the back there just to give it the ability to open it, play it square, or lean it forward ever so slightly. So let's hit a couple of shots. Like, if I was going to start my warm-up, I'd probably clip a couple out there that are just 30 yarders. One of the things that I'm looking to do always, I want to feel the ground when I start warming up. And in a sole like this, like in this K-Star, it really allows me to do that. So I get a really nice feel early on for what the ground feels like. Oh, they're 29 yards. And like 30 is my number. I like to feel 30 yards. It's enough speed to get me going, but it's not too much that I'm starting to force the issue. I can kind of keep that in nice rhythm. Right, so that's K-Star. It's exactly where I would start the warm-up. So in the 50, I've got the same setup. Now, this is one that might change. I've got the 50-08, with the pre-worn leading edge. I'm actually going to go to the 50-12 this year. I find that at times I can get a little bit of a dead ball flight off a 50. And I think that's from the strike right now. I've been keeping an eye on it over the winter time with where my strike patterns are. I can get a little bit high in the face with the strike in the 50. And if we look at where the meat of the wedge is, it's lower. There is no meat on the wedge up in the higher part. So what the bounce will allow me to do is actually bring that strike down a little bit, and it'll allow me to hit it a little bit more in the sort of meatier part of the head when it comes to the 50. Again, a club that I've loved. I typically like to get wedges that are a hair stronger and then I'll weaken them ever so slightly. And that allows me to take out a little bit of offset. I'll often shave a little bit, and you guys will see in the pictures we've got here, I shave a little bit off of that leading edge just to give me a little more pre-wear, so that if I can maybe pitch with it or I'm hitting some fuller shots, it almost buys me a little bit more relief in the front edge of the golf club itself. In all the wedges, we've got the same shaft. We've got the Nippon Tour 120X and the 120X all the way through those. One of the changes I have made, guys, and we'll stop here and hit a couple. I've actually went back to the Mizuno 243 pitching wedge. I was using the Vokey SM10, but I was finding that it was a kind of 130, 132 club, but my 9-iron would go probably 146, 148, and that gap was just too big. So going back to the Mizuno, I was able to get back to the 135, 136 distance that I really need the wedge to go. So let's hit a couple with that. As we kind of run through this, golf ball of choice at the minute is Pro V1X. I will do a little bit of testing with that as the season goes, though, as we sort of get comfortable again to the start of the season. We're looking for this pretty much bang on about 135. I'm going to call it 133. That was 132. Yeah, so on the game it said 133.8. So this is more predictable for me. I would have hit that probably 127, 128 with the Vokey. I didn't hit that one perfect. It was an okay strike, but going back to the cavity back for me has given me a little bit more forgiveness in the pitch and wedge, and I don't pitch with it anyway. So I never hit those shots really round the green with this particular club. So it's all about the yardage, all about the number, making sure we're starting to build into the set. Yep, 135 on quad. Really, really nicely. So I don't want to guess when it comes to my yardages. I want to call my yardage. I want to make a good swing. And if I hit a good swing, the reward is we hit our number. And that's what I feel like I can do a little bit more consistently with this one. And that leads us into the sort of middle irons. So from wedge now to 6-iron, I'm still in the Mizuno 243s. We're still in the Accra I-Series Red, the 120, which is, again, guys, the dynamic gold handle with the Project X tip. Been fantastic for me. You guys have seen probably 3 editions of the What's in the Bag now, which is maybe a record, where the irons haven't changed. And the long irons haven't changed either. But as I alluded to earlier on, when we get to the 4-iron, and I kind of maybe feel like I'm getting to a place where I'm starting to spin the ball a little bit less, and I may want to think about what we do with that 4-iron, and maybe it's not the ideal club in that part, and I do have an old faithful 4 hybrid. So let's hit a couple with that and see which club. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think I should put in there after seeing me hit a few with the 4-iron and the 4 hybrid? Okay, so 4-iron is a transition club for me. I obviously have the Accra I-Steel all the way through from wedge through to 5-iron, and I do transition to an Oban 100 when it comes to this particular club. I do like to have it as a bit more of a dynamic club that I can get a bit more out of if I need to. So let's see, about 215 I would expect to sort of get out of 4-iron. Okay, 210 on the fly. Not bad. Necked it a wee bit. 13. Pretty close to our 215 number. Obviously, the key, guys, that we want to look at when it comes to 4-iron, when the debate starts to sort of happen with regards to which one do you carry, we're looking over there at peak height. 106 feet is not bad. It's probably why I've always been pretty comfortable, hitting these longer irons. We spin it enough at 4,300. We're not kind of in the knuckly phase yet, so I'm still really quite happy with where this is. Obviously, turn that one over a little bit more. Maybe at that point, carry 215. Yeah, spin and launch came down a little bit. Peak height came down to 84. Maybe that's a bit more to your argument. Okay, so 4 hybrid, guys. We've got actually an oldie but a goodie, the Stealth 2. We've got the Graphite Design DI 95 stiff. A little bit longer, a little bit lighter. So wherever the club head speed there is coming out at 96, 97, I think we were looking at about with the 4-iron. Should be a little bit more comfortable to have a bit more speed with this, therefore create a little bit more velocity, elevation, etc. So let's look at how this compares to that 215 number we just saw on the 4-iron. 99.6, so we lifted the obviously club speed a little bit. Peak height went to 117. Yeah, carry went to 225. That's maybe a bit of an issue, that we have a tough time with gapping between the 5-iron. Take a look at that again. I mean, ease of use, no question. You've got that little easy one to flight up. The biggest thing for me always when it comes to hybrid is, what do I do if I turn into the wind? What do I do if I'm sort of have to go the other way? Am I comfortable just putting it back in the stance a little bit and shutting the face down? And try and kind of hit that little bullet one out there. That's not too bad. You can still fly at 218 with a little bit of chase. Peak height came down to 67. And if we need to soften one a little bit, maybe we've got to move towards the cut. We can get that extra height out of this one. Yeah, that's at the 214 carry, 126 peak height. Quite nice. What do you guys think I should do? 4-iron or 4 hybrid? Would love to hear from you. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Ultimately, I'm going to take both these clubs away with me. I'm traveling next week to Dubai and then on to Hong Kong. And we'll be playing a little bit of golf, so I will be sort of trying both of them out there and different scenarios outside. So ultimately, by the time you guys see this video, I've probably made a choice, but I want to hear what you guys think. Okay, you guys know it's never far away from me having a driving iron close to the bag. I still think this TaylorMade PUDI is one of the best I've ever hit. It's a little rocket launcher. Again, this is just a kind of go-to shaft for me. I love the DI, a little bit stronger in the 2-iron. It's 17 degrees. And this for me is an option that I may switch out. Sort of, I've got the little 5-wood in the bag now, and it's a kind of either or with this or the 5-wood. So let's hit a couple of shots with this one. Not bad. So you can see the spin come way down. 3189, carries 230 out to 240, but it does it kind of in that lower flight. So if I need to kind of hit that flatter trajectory, I really do like this club for that. I'm kind of trying to cut it a little bit more to spin it, but yeah, there's not much to be got from this one. Okay. Fairway wood. This has been in the bag for a while. This head, this is actually a new shaft I've been trying for a little while now. This is the Accra Shogun Green 72X. You guys probably remember this one is my little 7-wood length fairway wood. It's 4-wood loft, so 16.5. So it kind of plays in that 5-wood territory. It's a really, really good little club. I've grown to absolutely love it, to be honest. Ball speed there with the PUDI 140. This one, it's very often I'll see it around 150, 152. So there's much more horsepower out of this one than it would be out the UDI. I don't think that one will get much game time, but let's hit a couple with this one. decent down the left-hand side. So totally different carry with this one. That carried 247 on here in the game. Obviously clipped a tree there. So 247, 148 ball speed. Yeah, definitely a different gear from that PUDI. Nice high fly. Very similar to the last one, to be honest. You can clip in that same branch. So 247 in the first one, 248 on that one. Chances of getting this one out the bag are probably very slim at this point. Really love this shaft. The Acra Shogun is really, really smooth. One I really love. This one is not one we can take the head cover off just yet. This one's one we can talk about. We can talk a little bit about the shaft that will be in it, but we cannot yet expose what's under this cover. I've been kind of playing around. I've ditched the 3-wood a while ago. I don't use 3-wood anymore. I've been using some kind of, I tried TaylorMade, the Burner Mini. I tried the Callaway, the AI Smoke Mini Driver. And this one is somewhat similar to that one. And I think is going to be a real weapon for me this year. So stay tuned for the next What's in the Bag. This is what we'll call this the preliminary What's in the Bag for 2025. The What's in the Bag that we do at game time in probably like a month's time when we actually have finalized the 14 clubs that make it. We can do a little bit more with this puppy then. But let's hit some drivers. 2 drivers in the mix for me right now. We have what kind of has consistently been the gamer, which is GT3. We've got Ventus Blue 6X in there. Played around with different stuff this winter, played around with different shot shapes, hitting a draw, hitting a fade. The reality is, you know, if I draw it, I'm always walking the sort of, you know, razor's edge of a right miss and a left miss. I'm trying to get into a little bit more of a one-way shot, which is trying to kind of hit that fade off the tee. So really, when it comes to driver, we're trying to establish that kind of hit the apex, fall right ball flight, very much like that one. Not too bad in the numbers there. 162 ball, 13 club. Yeah, path is a little bit left. Quite nice. Keeps a bit of spin on it. Pretty comfortable with that. Yeah, working to just kind of peel these back into the fairway. So the other option I've got right now, I'm looking at, is also the TaylorMade QI35LS, 8 degree. I've actually got it set a little bit closed, kind of where Adrian and I ended our fit, you know, a few months back. We were looking at different Mitsubishi blue profiles, so I'm in that 10, say 1K blue. Really haven't hit this one too much, but let's see if we're able to sort of keep that nice fade shape. Quite similar. Don't quite have as much on that one. Same club head speed, bit less ball, bit more spin. Back. 5. Yeah, so maybe a little bit, if we just go back quickly into the tight list, I think maybe a cut 2, the first and third shot with the TaylorMade are probably why I think I would probably lean toward GT3. Certainly for right now, that window, that spin window seems to be a bit more consistent. So kind of similar ball flight. Goes out at 2400 spin rather than 3300 spin, which is much more like what we want. And we're starting to groove. I mean, as I say, you can hear it in my voice that I'm not comfortable yet hitting the fade, but we're getting there. You know, it's just hitting that apex, fall right, you know, get used to see it, you know, do that. And yeah, GT3 is doing a great job with that. Ventus Blue is always a great option for me. So those are really nice. All right, guys, so into the putter. And it breaks my heart to say this because you know the love affair, obviously with the head cover. But with the Champions Choice head, I've had 2 of them. Even in my indoor league in the winter time, I've been to be honest, like the distance that I've got to kind of hit my line from is about 10 feet, and we've got a little kind of cup that's out there as an aim point. I have had a really hard time with the Champions Choice hitting that direction point, even to the point where I've went actually with a slightly lighter shaft. I had a 105 Mitsubishi P, the Amana P shaft in there. I went to the Acra Sync, which is 85 grams, just to give me more of a feel of the head. I went to a slightly different feel and grip because I felt like, you know, even just simple things like the way the putter felt in my hands no longer felt as comfortable. So with the Garson Quad Tour, the putter has much more defined sort of lines at the front, and it sits in the lifelines of the hands a little bit more. So for me, that was helping me a touch more with kind of what I was feeling. The lighter nature of it felt like I could release it a little bit more. But I hate to even say it, I was starting to feel pretty yippy with the putter. So I'm going to work through a few different things. I need to kind of get that feeling out because, once I get to the golf course, I'll see if it feels as bad as it has done even indoors. But I think it's time to make a different choice when it comes to the putter. So yeah, next time we see each other on the What's in the Bag for the start of the season, you'll probably see something different from the Champions Choice. This is what's going to travel to Dubai with me. So we'll see out there. I don't have any other sort of shapes. I've been really dedicated and sort of committed to the putter shape I've been in. But it's time to change. So any suggestions in there, let us know in the comments, guys. Anything that you think we should add to the list to try before the season starts. So as we sort of gear up, we as you guys know, this is always a big part of the season. Super speed golf. I've made a few swings there, and you can see that baseline's lifted a little bit for me. I was kind of 110, 112 most of the winter. Now I'm kind of a little bit more 114 and to 116 as I start swinging driver now. It started to make a big difference. And these guys have been really, really helping me with that. Just staying committed to it. That's the biggest thing when it comes to speed training, making sure that you have the continuous reps with them, which is a huge part of it. So yeah, that's the bag as we touched on. Golf balls most likely to stay Pro V1X. The glove rotates between I'm a player's guy or a FootJoy Pure Touch. Either one of those is absolutely A-OK for me. And that's where we are for the start of the season. So we're heading into a testing phase. A couple more things to test. But what's good about a session like today is you can even see a little bit from some of the shots we've hit with the 4 and the 4 hybrid, the 2 drivers. It's becoming a little bit more crystal clear, which the option should be. And I'm starting to feel a bit more that way. So maybe only 1 driver will make the trip to Dubai. Probably the 4 hybrid and the 4 iron will still make the trip. I still think that 4 hybrid maybe goes too far, but we'll see. When it comes to the putter, we're still a little bit of a stalemate with that one. But again, we'll few things to be sort of uncovered and discovered with that one. So let me know, guys, what your thoughts are below in the What's in the Bag. Are you surprised it's changed as little as this? Any things that you think are going to be in there? Obviously, we've got the mystery club that we weren't able to reveal. Guesses in the comments below as to what that is. I'm sure there's a few sharp cookies that will get that one, no problem at all. All right, let us know your thoughts, guys. We probably have one more What's in the Bag before the season gets going to finalise the full kit. Stay tuned for that. We'll see you again soon.